Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It has been a while. First of all, I hope you're all doing well. All enjoyed the last month or so watching football very nearly come home. Agonisingly came up short on Sunday evening, didn't we? But I think runners-up was still representing a very good tournament for Gareth Southgate's young England squad. But that is out the way now. All attention turns back to Gillingham, back to club football, and Sky Bet League One is less than a month away now. So just wanted a little catch up. Haven't seen anyone for a long time, literally and metaphorically speaking on the channel. So going to go through the one friendly that the first 11 have had so far. 6 signings that have come in the last few weeks. We've got some input from fans of teams that have watched them players play previously, and a little look at what the recent COVID outbreak could mean in terms of implications moving forward for the Gills. But first of all, last Saturday was the first time we had got to see our new signings in action. There was a 3-3 draw played out against Steve Lovell, former manager's Welling. And yeah, it looked like a pretty good run. I did not go. Unfortunately, I was otherwise engaged. Was looking forward to going to the home game against QPR this coming Friday, but that is now off. But we'll get onto that a little bit later in the video. But yeah, Danny Lloyd, Verdane Oliver and John Akindi were our goal scorers in the 3-3 draw. Like I say, can't say too much on it, but looking at the positives, obviously, it was minutes for everyone, which is all that we need at the moment. A goal for Danny Lloyd on debut, an assist for Ben Reeves in the second half as well, and good minutes for everybody. So a positive start. I'm sure there's plenty to work on. Steve Evans has already said that in his little interview that came up on the Gills Twitter feed after the game. But it is nice to see the Gills back. And fingers crossed we'll be able to go and watch them live again pretty shortly. Sometimes it just feels like you're destined to never set foot back in the Priestfield. But yeah, on to signings, because that is the main topic in this video this evening. So I'm not going to give anyone too much detail regarding Ollie Lee or Max Amar, because we know all about them. We know all about their qualities and what they can bring to the table in terms of defensive know-how from Max and attacking creativity from Ollie. But I do want to have a look in more detail at the likes of Ben Reeves, David Tutonda, Aaron Chapman and Danny Lloyd, who's already been mentioned. And I've got some help from an MK Dons fan who saw Ben Reeves play for them, and that is Jonathan Harries at HarriesDon87. You can find him on Twitter. Ryan_BRFC_95. That's Ryan Mignano. He's going to give me the lowdown on David Tutonda. And then a report posh, which is James Maley. He's going to fill us in regarding both Aaron Chapman and Danny Lloyd. So let's have a look at the first player. First up is Ben Reeves, central midfielder, but can play from the side. Very technical, very left-footed. Hasn't played enough in recent seasons. I'm sure he's big enough to admit that. He has said in a recent interview that he feels coming to Gills is a fresh start, and hopefully he can get more game time. I think he played 32 times for Plymouth last season, but only 5 of them were from the start. But a person that knows him a lot better than I do, like I say, that's MK Dons fan, Jonathan Harries, and you can find him on Twitter at HarriesDon87.
Hi Matt, hi everyone. I've been asked to say a little bit on your new signing Ben Reeves. From my experience at MK Dons, he's a very left-footed player, but his strongest position seems to be coming off the right-hand side. Tends to cut inside and either cross in the ball or go for a shot. He likes his cold efforts from outside the box. He can also whip in a really good free kick, really dangerous free kicks. He's a very good passer of the ball. I recommend, if you have time on YouTube, if you go back to the League Cup game against Manchester United where we won 4-0, he played a superb no-look pass to Benikafobe at the time to make it 3-0. He doesn't lack effort or trying, just sometimes he can be very injury prone and can be a bit inconsistent if he's in and out of the team. So likelihood will be that he might flatter to deceive, but if you play to his strengths and get him the ball in space, then no doubt he can definitely do damage for you.
Cheers, Jonathan, for that. Really appreciate your input and your knowledge regarding Ben Reeves. I will go and check out that pass in the MK Dons win over Manchester United from a few seasons ago, definitely. And all Gills fans, go and check it out as well. Hopefully that's a small snippet of what we can expect if we can get Ben Reeves on the pitch and keep him fit. Second player, David Tutonda, left back. Know very little about him. So I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Ryan, the Bristol Rovers fan, who's going to fill you in on all that we can expect from David Tutonda.
Okay, thanks for having me on, Matt. So, hi Gills fans, my name is Ryan and I support Bristol Rovers. Just going to talk to you guys a little bit about David Tutonda. So, David came in, I think it was August last year, in a massive transition period for the club. So, we got rid of a lot of older, more experienced players and players that were like characters around the football club itself, and we replaced them with a lot of sort of younger players and players which we thought would help get us out of the league, which to be fair they did, but just in the wrong direction. So quick little background on David Tutonda then. So he came to us on trial against Cheltenham, signed a 2-year deal for us. After that game, he was man of the match in the pre-season friendly against Cheltenham, scored the winning goal in a 1-0 victory. So he instantly became a fan favourite, and we were expecting to see him start over Leahy quite a lot. In the first couple of games of the season, Leahy was the starting left back, so Leahy got the opening goal against Sunderland. He also got a goal against Doncaster, which was a spectacular volley, to be fair. And then there was a couple of really bad results along with that Doncaster game. Actually, that was a 4-1 loss. After those few losses to start the season, Tutonda came in at left back, and he had a couple of man of the match performances against the likes of Northampton and Lincoln, which were both wins. So going into the type of player Tutonda is, he's a very tricky left back, or should I say a left wing back. That's kind of more his role. Does like to get high up the pitch, does like to take people on. Very tricky, very skillful. Picks out a good pass. I would say picks out a good cross as well. I would say the biggest concern or maybe area for development on Tutonda is the fact that he does get beaten a bit easily by really tricky wingers. We saw that against, I think it was Ipswich and maybe even Hull. I think that, yeah, Hull, when they played at our place, they beat us 3-1 and we got taken on like really well down the wings. And I think, you know, our wing backs and defenders just couldn't cope with them in general. So Tutonda could do with a good run of games to kind of boost his confidence. I mean, we signed him from Barnet pretty much. He was released at the time, so he was a free agent technically, but the jump from non-league, as you know, to League One can be a bit overwhelming for some. I think for Tutonda, you know, it would have boosted his confidence a bit more just to see him have a good run of games. So I'm hoping he's doing well for you guys. And if you're seeing this, there you go. Up the gas.
Loads of good insight there. So big thanks to Ryan for filling us in on everything that we need to know regarding our new left back. Obviously coming from a Bristol Rovers side that got relegated in bottom position last season is probably not great if you're looking at it from an outside perspective. But a certain Connor Ogilvie, we was told, was never going to play left back when Steve Evans and Paul Rayner took over, and Connor Ogilvie developed into one of the best left backs in the division before leaving at the end of last season. So fingers crossed that Rains and Evans can work their magic with David Tutonda, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in action sooner rather than later. And now on to the two former Posh players. That's Aaron Chapman, the goalkeeper, former Accrington stopper as well, most recently at Motherwell, and Danny Lloyd. Had a very good season in League One the last time he was there with the Posh, with 12 goal contributions in 31 appearances. That was 8 goals and 4 assists. Has been at Salford and Tranmere most recently. And I'm going to leave you with James Maley, who runs the Posh Report Twitter page and podcast, I believe. And he's going to let us know all about the two former Posh players.
Hello, Gillingham fans and Gills in the Blood listeners and viewers. My name's James Maley. I run the Posh Report podcast and Twitter account. I've been asked to give you some insight on a couple of new signings, who are Aaron Chapman and Danny Lloyd, who previously played for Peterborough United, Lloyd in 2017-18, and Chapman in 2018-19. Starting off with Chapman, obviously, I'm sure you'll know he's a goalkeeper, really tall, about 6'7", 6'8". I have heard he's been signed to be the number 2 goalkeeper at Gillingham. I think that's probably a good thing. I think if he was being signed as the number 1, he's a bit of a downgrade on Bonham, probably a below average number 1 goalkeeper by League One standards. He was signed by Steve Evans for Posh in the 2018-19 season after a good spell in League Two. A good season in League Two with Accrington Stanley in 17-18. That was his first ever season as a first choice goalkeeper in the EFL for a sustained period of time. And when he came to Posh, he got off to a pretty good start actually. He's 6'8", so he's a really commanding goalkeeper, came for a lot of crosses. He handling's decent from those crosses. He will punch, he's not the best puncher, but he'll come under pressure and he'll clear out his area. Probably a goalkeeper of the ilk Posh had never had before in that sense, and very much the sort of goalkeeper Steve Evans likes to have. His size made him a pretty good reaction shot stopper at time. He made some good reaction saves when he first came to Posh. Some of you will be aware he lost his starting position at Posh midway through that season, was in and out of the side. And there was a few reasons behind that. He's got some technical deficiencies. His positioning's not great. He sometimes gets away with it because he's so big, but at other times he'll be caught way out of position for shots. And some of his shot stopping techniques perhaps aren't the best. His handling from shots perhaps isn't the best, not as good as his handling from crosses. And he's a real confidence player, and we saw this in his season at London Road. When his confidence was high, perhaps his technical deficiencies weren't as obvious, but once his confidence dropped, made him start to make a lot of mistakes, and mistakes piled onto mistakes. Unfortunately for him, he's also coming off quite a challenging season at Motherwell in the Gillingham with low confidence. If you can get his confidence high, Evans, having worked with him before and him performed quite well under Evans, he could be a very reliable number 2 goalkeeper, but probably wouldn't want him as the number 1 goalkeeper in a League One side. And then you've got Danny Lloyd. Lloyd, a player who was with Posh in the 17-18 season, attacking wide midfielder, can play on either wing and has played number 10 as well. The first thing to note about Lloyd is probably he's 29, and his only season in League One up to now was that 17-18 season for Posh. And then after leaving Posh, what didn't have to sell him, were willing to keep him, but he moved to Salford in the National League, basically for the payday. He got paid more at Salford than he was getting at Posh. And again, perhaps we can question his mentality, his determination to make the best of his career. But on the flip side, of course, if you got a big payday, perhaps some of you won't hold that against him. I certainly don't hold that against him per se. In terms of what he will bring to Gillingham, he's a pretty quick player, direct player, likes to run in behind, likes to take players on, offers a goal threat, offers fairly creative as well. He's not, say, a Jordan Graham type whereby he will be putting lots of crosses into the box. He's not the best crosser in the world. He's far more effective when he's getting in behind, making runs in behind, perhaps taking on his man and getting into space and attacking space that way. Out of possession, he's a hard-working player. He's good in the press. He uses his speed in the press. Will work hard. I think that's probably one of the reasons Evans liked him. Will suit a hard-working, pressing team for sure. Ability-wise, I think he'll make a decent League One attacking midfielder, a decent League One winger, which is what he was at Posh as well. I wouldn't expect him to set the world alight, but also I don't think he's going to be found short at this level. Having a couple of seasons in the National League and League Two, making that step back up, good enough to make that step back up. He's an attacking threat. He played very well actually against Posh for Tranmere in the EFL Trophy last season and caused a lot of problems with his movement, directness, and pace. And that's what Gillingham are going to be getting this season. So there you go, a couple of signings, Chapman and Danny Lloyd. Probably can tell I'm not huge on either player, but again, both will probably have a role to play at Gillingham next.
Once again, some really good stuff there. So thank you to James for taking the time out of your day to provide us with that information regarding Aaron and Danny. Seems that we're going to have to try and increase the confidence levels of Aaron. But I think Steve Evans spoke very highly of him when he did arrive, knows him from his time at Posh. And I think did lavish praise on him after the friendly draw against Wedding last week. So seems he might be a player that you need to put your arm around, give him a hug and tell him how good he is. certainly got the right frame and the right size for being a goalkeeper. And it's interesting to see. James did touch on it about him being a number 2. I know Steve Evans has said he's not guaranteed to be the number 1 goalkeeper for 21-22. So it's a case of waiting and seeing who the other one that comes in, whether that's a youngster on loan or another more established goalkeeper in terms of age and experience. But I don't think Aaron Chapman's a bad signing. I think he's lost his way a bit, certainly. But I am excited about Danny Lloyd. I think that's a player that will get us on the edge of our seats, will provide us with goal chances, assists and goals, it seems. Great to see him get off the mark so soon in his Gills career, albeit in a low-key friendly. And again, certainly looking forward to seeing him in the flesh. So thank you to everyone, to Jonathan, to Ryan and to James for providing their insight on our recent signings. And yeah, just can't wait to get back into a stadium and watch them properly. And fingers crossed it won't be too long after this COVID outbreak at the club. So I'm going to talk about that quickly. It was announced a couple of days ago that 5 players in part of the routine club testing on Sunday came back with positive outcomes, unfortunately. So they're now self-isolating in line with the NHS ruling. The rest are all free to train, but it does mean we've had to cancel a lot of friendlies, including Dartford on Tuesday evening. That was meant to be a first 11 fixture. Margate tonight, Wednesday, which was an 11. I think that would have been a youth team fixture. Friday, like I say, was looking forward to getting back to the Priestfield and providing you all with a proper match day live against QPR, but that's off, as is the Ebbsfleet 11 game on Saturday, as is the first team fixture against Steve Evans' former club Peterborough United next Tuesday. So, how big a disaster is it? There's been a lot of tweets floating about over social media at the moment. For me, I'm not panicking too much yet. We've still got 4 more fixtures, I think, penciled in for the first team. That's Colchester, Millwall, Norwich and Leyton Orient, if my memory recalls correctly. I think there's another 11 fixture that's been put in, so that'll be a mixture of youngsters and senior pros. And fingers crossed once everyone's back and available, and also if we can get some more players in through the door in terms of new signings, we'll be able to start playing fixtures again. And fingers crossed it doesn't have a massive hindrance on the preparation for Lincoln City, which is the opening day of the season. The squad, I think, is of a decent size already, considering we're still a month away. We've got 18 players on the books at the moment. That's including youngsters Harvey Lintott and Gerald Sithole. Obviously, we know that John Akindi and Christian Magoma have been made available for transfer. But Steve Evans has said everybody deserves a clean slate, so they might be here come first game. Looking at what we need still, I've wrote a list down. I've put down goalkeeper, centre half at least 1, a left back to give competition to David Tutonda. I'd like another centre midfielder, an established centre midfielder to provide some competition for Carl Dempsey and Stuart O'Keefe. We've got Henry Woods, we've got Robbie McKenzie that can play there. I think Ben Reeves can go in there and fill in, so can Alex McDonald. I'd like another winger in case we are going to persist with a 4-2-3-1 formation. And we definitely need a striker. We need a Brandon Hanlon type, a Dominic Samuel type, someone who's going to be quick and play on the shoulder and run in behind. That would give us, that would take us up to 24, so that's probably quite high. But you take out the youngsters, it's 22, and then if Magoma and Akindi leave, that takes us to 20, which was about what we ran with throughout 2021. So yeah, like I say, not panicking too much yet. Obviously, if it affects more games, Colchester, Millwall, that type of thing, then it's going to become an issue because we're not going to have any match fitness and match practice between now and Lincoln City, which is going to be a tough opener. And I think while we're talking about Lincoln City, obviously best wishes to their manager, Michael Appleton, who confirmed on social media yesterday that he's taking a short break because he's got to go in for an operation, having been diagnosed with testicular cancer. So I think it's a warning to all us fellas to check your bits and bobs, get yourself to a GP if you've got any issues and get it sorted out. And like I say, we all wish Michael Appleton a swift and full recovery. Right, I think that is everything from me this evening. It's great to be back talking about Gills. It'd been even better if we could have been at a match day live on Friday. But such is life still at the moment that we have to be careful. Hopefully we'll see you all soon. I'll be back soon for another video. But until next time, keep yourselves well and up the Gills.